bought every single Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 plushie. And they all came in these two really big packages, so let's go ahead and open these up. Today we're going to be comparing how well some of these plushies really look to some of these characters in the game. Starting off with Chicken. Now yes, this is obviously a bootleg plush, but to be honest, this doesn't look too bad. One of the big things that this plushie is missing compared to the one in the actual game is that there is no little white dot in his eyes that really make it look like eyes. It's just a black, dark void. And also another thing that he's missing is he is completely missing eyebrows. Other than that, it looks pretty solid, especially for a bootleg plush. Next up in this massive bag of wonder, we have Crafty Corn. And again, the same thing as before with Chicken. There is no little white dot for her eyes, so that is probably going to be expected among all the bootleg smiling critters. But one thing that I do really like that they added is the little horn for Crafty Corn, because she is obviously a unicorn. Another really solid looking plush. I'm really curious on how this plush would have looked if they actually bothered to add a tongue and maybe some teeth. Moving on to the next one, we have Piggy. I am very impressed with how they did the ears. It honestly really does look like a pig's ears, and oh my goodness, you can actually stick your finger in the ear a little bit. The little charm at the bottom that is an apple could look a little bit better. And they even went to add as much as a little pig's tail. But I will say one thing, these bootleg companies do a horrible job at hiding the stitching on these plushies. All you have to do is just bend it down a little bit and you can see everything. One thing I feel like they could have made a little bit more accurate is they should have made the nose a little bit bigger. Because to me, this nose is way too small compared to Piggy in the game. Next up, we got Bobby Bearhug. Look at this guy. The ears on this guy look pretty good, but unfortunately, I don't know why they want to keep bending forward. Maybe it's because of how they were sitting in the bag. But one big thing, besides the eyebrows and the eyes, the nose here just simply does not look right. There's too much pink up here for the nose. It looks like they did a horrible job trying to recreate this guy from the game. And honestly, I really do feel like these little charms could be done so much better. But I will say one thing I like about this one, this charm is not hanging so low. This is about where it should be versus Piggy. Look at how low the charm hangs down. It's almost going to her leg. Next up in the bag, we got Bubba Fint. And look at that massive elephant trunk. That looks great. His charm is at the appropriate spot. It is not too low. It is the perfect level. And the ears are done so perfectly to resemble an elephant. And look at that massive tail on this elephant. This is probably the best bootleg smiling critter I've seen so far today. Next up, we got Hopscotch. And honestly, I don't know where to begin on this plush. This plush does not look good. Starting with the charm, oh my goodness, this charm looks like it just wants to fall apart. The ears could simply be done a bit better. Something about them, they look too plain to me, and they don't really look like Hopscotch in the game. Maybe if they added some wire in his ears, so you could actually kind of bend them over like that, that would probably make this plush 10 times better. Now that I'm thinking about this, guys, I'm wondering if I should attempt to make all the bootleg smiling critters better by actually fixing a lot of their imperfections. If you guys actually want to see me do this, leave a comment down below. I'm actually seriously thinking about this. Next up, we got Dogday, and this is another really nice one. I love how the ears are done. Unfortunately, they're not very floppy because they are actually like tied down. You can't actually pick up the ears like that without entirely ripping the whole thing off. off. When I think of a dog, I think of the floppy ears, and unfortunately, he doesn't have that. The charm just needs to be a little bit higher, but it's honestly in a really good spot. Compared to some of the other smiling critters, this is significantly better than them. The one thing I really don't like about Dogday here is that this yellow on his head is way too big. It's supposed to be following around the mouth, and it just goes up way too high. If you compare him to how he looks in the game, it looks completely off. But as for this plush, I'm gonna put him right under Bubba Fin. Next up, we got the final smiling critter, but not the last plushie, which is Catnap. Where do I begin? This plush looks very, very bad. Starting off with the charm, it does have the perfect placement, but I don't like this material here. It feels very cheap to me. And then also Catnap's head is like too big and his ears are too small. Like it's not proportional. The tail seems about right. And aside from the eyes and the eyebrows, the only other thing that's bothering me is I don't know why they decided to add this hook. Kind of ruins the whole thing. It looks like Catnap is growing white hair on his head. 2 strands of hair. It's very odd. This one is definitely going to have to be the worst Smiling Critters plushie we've seen so far today. And now that's everything for the first bag, and now we're getting into the second bag here. And now you're probably wondering, who else is in Poppy Playtime Chapter 3? Well, of course, we have the Monster Catnap, and check this guy out. This is Catnap in his final form. Look at his feet, man. Oh my goodness. And then look at the front. Okay, now where do I begin? This does not look good. The overall shape of this plush, the little stitching that they did here is great. But as for his face, it just doesn't look right. I will give them props for this. All the other Smiling Critters did not have this, but Monster Catnap has it, and that is that white little dot for his eye. And that's exactly how he looks in the game. If they only could have gotten his little eyelids here correctly and his mouth, he would have looked so much better. To me, is not scary. And I honestly feel like his mouth should be a lot bigger. Next up, who else could be in this big bag? Miss Delight. But not just any Miss Delight. This is Miss Delight before the Hour of Joy. So she still has her normal face and smile, and to be honest, this is the best bootleg I have ever seen. Hands down, this looks phenomenal. Her little dress is perfect. Her face is perfect. Everything about this plush is pretty perfect. Aside from a couple things like the stitching could always be better when it comes to a bootleg. Maybe the hair could be a little better. Why am I able to pull this back? Miss Delight's got a massive bald spot, bro. But if you look at her side by side from how she looks in the game, it's pretty hard to point something out that isn't perfect. This one instantly goes to the top of the list. Next up, what plush could I possibly have next? That would be Dogday. But not any Dogday, the Poppy Playtime official Dogday. And okay, this is the one thing I find really annoying with this plush. The little charm that's attached to a zipper always gets stuck, but this charm does look really good. The one thing I'm really in love with this plush is how good the mouth looks. It actually goes in. It just looks great. When you look at him compared to the cartoon characters in the game, honestly, it's pretty hard to decipher which one is a plushie and which one's real. He actually has floppy ears. Like, oh my goodness. The tail looks good. I'm not 100% sure on what his tail looked like in the game. Here's probably the coolest feature with this plush. He actually unzips. But it is just for display because you can't put anything in there. And honestly, this is making it very hard to rank these plushies against each other. So I'm gonna have to leave them at a tie. And now next up, the last and final plushie, you've probably guessed who it is, the official Catnap plush. Now again, this one has all the same features as Dogday, such as the same zipper function here. And I don't know if this was just my plush or a lot of plushies, but unfortunately his mouth keeps popping open. So if I want to get it just right, I have to manually push it back in, which I'm not super crazy about. I don't know what happened. Maybe something happened in shipping. I don't know. It's like they gave me the prototype version of Catnap. But one thing that Catnap has is a extremely long tail. This is extremely long. Unfortunately, I am gonna have to put Catnap one step below Dogday, which would mean that Miss Delight and Dogday both come in first place. Leave a comment down below on which one you think is the better plushie. This is pretty much gonna wrap up today's video, guys, and we'll catch you guys next time.